I'm Tash.
And I'm Larni.
And we're my two wives. Welcome to another episode. We have decided today that we're going to do a topic we haven't had the chance to touch on yet, and that is parenting styles.
Yes, because we're very, very opposite, aren't we?
We're not quite opposite. Nah, we're not.
Okay.
No, we're not that opposite.
Well, we're opposite with different situations.
Yeah.
So your emotions when it
Yeah.
comes to parenting, you get worried more than I do.
I stress more.
That's why we're opposite, I feel sometimes.
Yeah.
But then we do also incorporate a certain type of parenting, which supposedly it's already been named. What's it called again?
There's authoritative. Well, there's the 4 different styles of parenting, which is authoritative parenting or authoritarian parenting.
Yep.
I think there's neglectful, and then there's permissive.
Yeah.
So I think they're the 4 that are most recognized. But then there are kind of some loose sort of ones, sort of like your free range parenting.
But don't say no ever.
Your tiger parenting.
Which is?
That's the one that I think is very, very high in control and aims at a very high level, can give kids a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you got to do well academically and extracurricularly.
And you're the expectation.
The
of what they
expectation
expect of
is
you.
next level high.
Because your thing as well, when you raise your sons, because Tash has 3 sons.
Yes.
I have.
Oh my God. She has 2 boys and a daughter and another son on the way.
In a few weeks.
Yep.
So we're going to have, and also I have my new son as well. So all up, I've got like 5 kids.
Yeah.
At home. So, and the way that we parent is, I've always been really open. Obviously, it's changed over the years. So
Yeah.
at one stage, I was a single parent mum. So I felt like my parenting is similar to what it was years ago, but it's also I've mastered it and gotten better each time.
I think from what you've learned is you've taken back a lot more control.
Yeah.
I think at one point you were very loose.
Yes.
Very low boundaries.
Yes,
They could
'cause
kind
we
of.
were opposite in that.
Yeah. Oh, we were opposite in that, especially when I first started having my children. I was very cautious of who was around.
Yep.
The caliber of people that were in my life, the caliber of people I wanted near my children.
Yep.
Was very big, and we were at different stages. And we do have a podcast about the time that Larni and I actually did break up for 2 years. And this kind of falls into just that time period as
when
we broke
were
up.
parenting and learning our parenting
because we just
styles and
started
methods.
having kids. They
'Cause
were
we were
brand
young.
new. We were so young.
20-something.
Yeah, we started young. But you're a totally different parent now than you were then.
100%
Actually,
I was.
you're a totally different person.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not
I
even
am.
the same Larni. You're a totally different. Whatever thoughts you have about Larni when you knew her at 20, 21, 25 even, get that out of your head.
Yeah,
Because that
I'm
ain't
not
it. That ain't it. What I'm going to say to people is you don't know her.
yours. Yeah, you've tightened your
Yeah.
parenting. So I feel like it's always been very similar. But you've also mastered like little bits that we learn with the ages. Because now longer you
Yeah.
don't have toddlers.
Yeah.
Because you used to worry a lot with your toddlers. Like,
Oh, so the worry for
obsessively.
me when I had little kids, because I had 3 under 3 and three under 3.5.
Yep.
And when they were little, I was just helicopter parenting being one of those loose terms. I was definitely a helicopter parent for my littlies when they were tiny, because I had this. For me, one of my biggest fears was pedophilia and pedophiles.
Yeah.
Huge, just anxiety riddled about someone stealing them getting abducted off the street.
yeah,
I mean,
even you, like when you would take him to the park, you would worry and just be like glued to them. Or your eyes would, like you still do it, to be fair.
I do, yeah.
But I feel like your emotions aren't as stressed out.
no,
when
because
you
they're
can't
older
see
now,
them
so that
for a second
pedophilia
or-
fear
Yeah.
has totally gone for me.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like now they're older, they're not as appealing to those sorts of people, and I can worry less about it. And they one does Muay Thai every day of the week, so I worry less now that he's a teenager and that he actually does a self-defense activity so that's helping a lot. And just as they look like they're covered in hair and they stink and they just don't look like children
They're
anymore.
young men now, and you've also taught them the boundaries and things
to make
to
them
look
aware.
out for.
So I make them aware of the things that I stress out about. So, and Daniel Morecambe has been discussed, and we went through all that sort of stuff. So the anxiety definitely for me when they were little was there, has eased off now as they've gotten older. Yeah. Whereas I feel like you were less stressed when they were little.
I was.
But have become slightly more stressed.
Aware. Yeah.
Not stressed, aware.
Aware.
You're not a stressed
Definitely
person.
aware because I've noticed obviously things can happen with kids. And then I guess speaking to older kids or even adults about the times that it starts to happen, I realize that it can happen within homes or it can, like I was fortunate enough, but I realized that there's so many predators out there. And I stopped being so naive to be like, no, I can just trust this person. Now I will sit there and have, I guess, scary conversations with my kids and be like, you know, if has anyone ever seen your private parts? Have you ever been touched a certain way? Have you ever felt uncomfortable with someone?
Yeah.
Because I would never have those conversations with my kids.
Yeah,
like my eldest, he's 15. I think I didn't really have those conversations with him, but I used to have it with the people I trusted around him and be like, make sure he always sleeps in your room. Like my sister, when my son used to go to my dad's house.
Yeah.
Or, you know, keep an eye on him. But now I have my two youngers, which are 9 and 7.
Yeah.
That's something that we'll discuss.
Yeah.
And I will be vocal and honest with my kids and be like, you know, there's children that are raped. There's children that are murdered. There's children that are...
You don't shelter them from the reality. And that's where we're very similar.
Yeah, we are.
Because we actually both are not afraid just to tell our kids of the realities and harshnesses
of the world
and what people are capable of, the evils in people. And even though I think from memory, kids can't really assess danger till they're over 5.
Is it?
Like predatorial danger until they're over 5 for
my
themselves.
7-year-old did just like the other day.
Yeah, no, so 7 probably is fine, but I even if you tell a child under 5, they'll still walk away and probably end up completely not understanding what you said to them. But as they hit over 5 and over, from memory, I'd have to look it up to confirm, but something along those lines where that prefrontal cortex can comprehend danger on a predatorial level.
Because my partner, we were talking about if we were going to have we were watching this little girl running around at the hospital the other day. Yeah. And she just legged it. She just kept running and this mum was like up and down. And I was like, I can't wait to leash this kid. Yeah. The baby that I'm about to have. I was like, I can't wait to put a leash on him. And I looked at him and I was like, are you going to be okay with a leash? And you know how you have the leash on them?
Yeah, the little baby leash.
And he was like, what do you mean? He's like, when I was a kid, I'm pretty sure it was created because of me.
Me too, though. I was in the fish pond at Carindale swimming with the goldfish at that pond.
And your parents, they'll look over and be like, where is this child gone?
I also have ADHD.
And then you're off.
And I'm a leg it.
Yep.
Energy for days.
Yep.
Boys, leg it. And so my anxiety too wouldn't just be pedophilia too about when I'd go to a park, and if the park didn't have a boundary, right, and we were on a main road, because plenty of parks are always near main roads. Yeah. I was always fearful that they were just going to leg it and go straight on out into the road and get done by a car. Yeah. So there's another reason I was real jumpy and helicopter-ish. Because I just am not one of those blasé people that just leave it to chance, because I just have to be seen, because it's just a blink of an eye, in my mind anyway, that how quick things can happen if you're not paying attention. That's my anxiety that makes me hyper attentive like that. So it's just the fear of the result of me not paying attention to and then the consequences I pay for that, because I don't know. That's just where I was at.
No, it's good because we've learnt this over the years. That's what, for me as well as a parent, because I'm more worried. I've actually thought about having a leash, whereas years ago I'd be like, nah, they'll be fine.
So true.
I'll let them run. I'll let them frolic. I still don't mind them frolicking and running. Yeah. And also if they hurt themselves, I'm like, good, you've hurt yourself. Yeah. You know, you've learnt what a boo-boo is, and you're going to cry and you're going to get over it. Yeah. But also I take more precautions in my parenting now. Yeah. As to opposed to what I used to. That's for sure.
100% you do. It's interesting how we've changed as we've gotten older.
Yeah.
Things become
with parenting
more to the forefront of our mind.
Yeah. But the dangers are still real. They're still there. Mm-hmm. And what I would say to my younger self was, number one, hell, I was lucky, because a lot of situations my kids actually, even just with how often
they'd be left at other people's houses and who would look after them when you weren't around.
People, it was obviously it was family, but again, it's always, they even say that sometimes it's, people
a lot of the time. Actually, most of the time, it is actually
within the home,
or an extended family member. Yeah. It is very rarely a stranger.
That's why I'm fortunate enough that I've had, my kids are lucky and they haven't. But now, coming in and being a parent and learning these things, now I'm just so more onto it.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something that's changed about my parenting.
Which is awesome. Like, it's good. Yeah. And you are lucky, but it's nice that you're aware of that and you're not so blasé and naive because it's not like you're done having kids. You're still parenting right now and you're about to have a newborn.
Yep.
And so that's still a saving grace going forward.
Yeah, incorporate it all into the continuous parenting that we have.
Yeah. Well, there's no right or wrong parenting style. Well, look, I think there is wrong. Like, I think you can be overly neglectful when you have kids because kids need structure. Kids need boundaries.
They need boundaries and they need authority as well.
They
do. Saying no. So one thing you and I are, I've noticed as well, with our children, we'll be like, no, you're not having that. And also then explaining, fair enough, you're going to be pissy with us. And
we are huge explainers.
We'll explain why. Like, why do I expect you to do this? Why do I expect you to come to the table? Why have I said no? Because you know what? This will happen if I don't, and you're going to actually not enjoy it once it gets to a certain... we're always
the bigger
about
picture
the
gets
why.
unfolded. It's not just straight...
Say no.
No, you do as you say. Don't ask me any questions about it at the end. It's not the end. I'll tell you why, and you can let me know how you feel after that.
And if it's not no, it's also why, like, for example, when we give our kids advice, and we're also trying to teach them, not only do I feel like we give our children advice, but then we say the advice and the reason why it would work this way. Not just, I really expect you to go to this party and not drink.
Yeah.
We also then go into depth and, well, the reason why is because...
damaging your prefrontal cortex with alcohol when you're in the middle of developing it's probably not a great idea. And the consequences of that when you're older will look like this, and this, and could lower your IQ. And like we go into a whole discussion as to why it's a no as opposed to just no. Because kids, when you give them that information, I mean, I think one thing you've been always really good with, and I have to give this to you, is that you don't undermine your children's ability to understand what you're saying. You've never thought I've never seen you think,
they're not going to understand
me. They're not going to understand you. You talk to them as if like they're not idiots.
Yeah. Well,
you trust that they comprehend what you're saying.
Because I expect them to know. I'm like, you're my children. I'm always so forward and honest and blunt with you.
Yeah.
How could you not understand what I'm trying to say to you? But if I say it in a certain way with an explanation, you'll learn it that way anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And they'll go back and think about it later. And if you repeat something enough, the penny drops. Yeah, 100%. So there's that, I suppose.
So different parentings out there. What are you?
Yeah.
There is no judgment. Also, there is no right and wrong because, again, especially me, I started off as a certain type of parent. And with my sons now and also my daughter, just raising them and learning different things with personalities too, you can actually only just get better as long as you're opened to learning and also being like, maybe I actually made a mistake then as a parent. Yeah. You can actually just get better with it.
Yeah.
That's what I've noticed.
100%. And when we do communicate as much as we do with our kids, we can explain to them the process of the journey so they know that anything we've done isn't a personal attack or isn't just against them. Like we can tell them that.
And we want to better you. Like our parenting is, we actually want you to be better than us. That's our end objective. Yeah. And that's how I've noticed we're the same. Not I would ever get jealous or envious of my own children. I just want what's left here once we go is for them to have a happy and loving life and be better than us.
Like we so don't helicopter our kids in the sense where we've even got action plans for if we pass unexpectedly. Like we've got a set of things that we've told them that they need to go and do in order to live a good life.
Ain't going nowhere.
We're not
103, 102, but
I love that, wifey. But she knows I have to go first. Like, she knows that.
I do.
Anyway, what I'm saying is that we've even gone so far as to let them know that even us are not immortal. Yeah. That we absolutely could just like, life is so brutal and chaotic.
Death is expected.
And that death is always near. And that if something happens to us, we even equip them with a step by step what they need to do so then their life is, made better and better than ours. And so they're mentally equipped to cope with the brutality of life because it's absolutely brutal.
One of the biggest things is losing a parent.
It is. And knowing that you just need to get back up on your 2 feet because the world keeps spinning and that you'll be okay without me. And I told you what to do if we're not here. Yeah. And not sheltering them from that. And I guess both of us have copped a bit of flack for that.
From other people?
Yeah, as that being too full on, too honest, maybe.
Yeah, too honest. Or are they, are you ruining their innocence by pushing them forward to know so much knowledge? But look, at the end of the day, in my head, I'm pretty sure it's in yours, is knowledge is key. And even though you do have innocence, I get that. But the world doesn't accept to be too innocent. So we're just like, you know what? It's time to start now.
It saves them in the
us.
end.
That's
for
the
us,
way we parent. So, you know, you might be different.
Yeah.
This is
you
how
might
we
like
roll.
to let it go a bit longer before you have those discussions. I just don't trust personally.
Yeah, we jump straight in.
Yeah, because I don't trust that maybe I'll be there forever to get to that point to tell them when the right time comes around, you know, when I think it is. What if I go before that? Or, you know, all those sorts of thought processes go through my mind anyway.
Yeah, we want them to be prepped. So.
Like, obviously, I didn't sit them down at 3 and I was like, rape and murder are a real thing. Like, I waited till they get...
6.
Yeah.
6 or 7.
Yeah.
And also the personality, whereas I feel like my daughter's so just like... She's distrusting of a lot of people already.
Yeah.
Very distrusting, which is great.
Great. For a female.
Yeah. And then...
For a little girl.
Yeah, and I've explained to her, that's fine and that's good because this has happened to mum before and I wasn't distrusting, and had I not put myself in that situation, which I did, I would have been a lot safer and I wouldn't have that trauma now.
Yeah.
So I literally, my 7-year-old knows stuff like that.
Yeah.
She's, you know, near certain
I was that age
experiences.
too when my grandparents and my dad were talking to me very openly, very bluntly about real life situations happening, and I was her age when they told me openly and honestly. And I think that's why when we met we had totally different set of ways of thinking. So although we'd go out together, I was so distrusting I carried around a butter knife. However, wifey thought everyone was good and nothing bad would ever happen.
I did. And one thing I did pinpoint was when I was younger, my mum would always tell me, don't do this, you know, and she was like, I just want the best for you. However, not always would my mum go into depth why.
Okay. Yeah.
She actually didn't.
Yeah,
she would be, like, my mum was a single mum, very busy.
Yeah, she was.
You know,
worked a lot,
supported 3 kids, private school,
Yeah.
But she would always definitely be like, no, I don't want you to. But her and I didn't have a very vocal and communicative relationship where she was like, but this is why. She wouldn't give me the why. And I just be like, whatever, I'm 13 or I'm 12.
Yeah.
I know what the fuck I'm doing. I don't need my mum to tell me what to do.
So you had that attitude.
I had that attitude.
Yeah.
And because I was very defiant.
Yeah.
Even if my mum probably did try and tell me, sometimes I refused to listen.
Yeah.
But now with my daughter, she listens. Same with my sons. They will listen and be like, oh, yeah.
Do you think that has something to do with the fact you make the effort to explain a bit further?
And because we've always been very communicative from the get-go.
Yeah.
So it's very normal for my kids to hear me explain shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was... Well, that would be similar to mine because I was always used to having an explanation, especially from my dad. Yeah. He'd go a bit further than mum would sometimes. But I remember mum often going on tangents about why X, Y, and Z. But both parents at both different times would do big explanations as to why.
I think it helps. Look, for the way the kids are turning out
like
now.
You can see the result of it.
I can see the results of it.
Yeah.
You know, my kids just understanding a lot of things that possibly at their age maybe they shouldn't, but they get it, and that makes me less fearful if I'm not here to teach them. Yes. Because I'm like, they already know
it. Or not if you're not here, but if you're just not around. They're in a situation.
And I'm like, well, they're going to know how to handle it.
Yeah.
And I don't have to worry about that.
As much. Yeah.
Yeah, as much. So I've given them the tools. So that's definitely how we're tool parents. We're ones that, I guess, teach them with, like, you know, being able to fix a situation, or the situation is possible to happen. Like,
with a lot of transparency, a lot of honesty, a lot of no sheltering, and just being honest about the harshness of the world. And that also comes down to how you might view the world. You might be listening to us thinking, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Is it really that bad out there? And to which, well, I would say yes.
Yep.
It's pretty rough out there.
We do know parents as well, and there's no judgment, honestly, there isn't, that just aren't ready for their kids to know that stuff, and they're very opposite to us. But again, as long as situations don't happen for them, that's also fine as well.
Yes, of course.
But we just hope those situations never happen. And then also, I guess those parents also take that, just make sure those things don't happen, because they're always going to be helicopter and always around, or doing this and doing that. Whereas because we're more loose and we're like,
Also,
go and
we
ride
work a
bike.
lot. We do a lot that our kids don't always.
I like
They're
my
not.
kids to make memories. I'm not going to sit there and be like in this room while I'm watching them. I want them to also have that independence. And I feel like
because God, we had that as kids,
right? Didn't we?
Oh, we got
make
given
mistakes, to also not
to
make
catch
mistakes.
those buses,
to learn
those
so many
trains,
things.
those laughs,
and not be fearful or have anxiety as a child. Like we just didn't have that worry where we're like, no, we're capable. We never second
God, and we
ourselves.
were so capable.
Yep.
Larni and I were like the
and
only.
Our kids are the same.
Oh, they are. They're so similar.
They are. They're just like, nah, I can do it, Mum. I'm fine. Seriously, and we're like, okay, I know, I did this. I'll let you go.
Yeah.
But then if you're more of a helicopter parent, you put your child. I found with the kids that I know that they're more second guessing of themselves. Whereas
you want them to have that confidence.
Oh, mate,
injection.
I want to be the person behind them that can 300 kick them out into the world and be like, haha, you're good. You got it.
You got it.
And then just stand up and be like, shit, I have. Fuck, let's go.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Because I do. That is so true of both of us. We were like the only first two working in school and we were allowed our jobs and we were the most independent two girls at school. People weren't even allowed to come to our houses, nothing but not her and I.
Yeah.
Free range as hell.
Yep.
We knew how
Left
to
home
catch a
alone,
bus,
cook
order a
food,
cab,
do washing,
cook.
Just like self-efficient, like self stuff
Yeah.
at home. Like I've my 9-year-old now, my 7-year-old. I've taught my 9-year-old's better, obviously, but he's cooking steaks, eggs, spaghetti bolognese, and sometimes I'll just turn the stove on and be like, "So here it is." He's seen me do it a few times. Now it's up to you to give it a go, and he does it.
What are you talking about?
Sweet.
Eli was
two.
cooking at 2.
It was 2.
Like.
I was like, here, this is how we make 2-minute noodles.
Yeah.
And luckily that worked out well because I was really careless.
Back then you were more
and
so.
I was like, don't put a fork in the microwave. So
just teaching him those
and
funny
now
things.
my 15-year-old, he's doing his courses. He's just making some really good decisions. And I'm seeing the results and at the moment I'm happy with how it's turning out.
Yeah.
So
you definitely gave
there's
him
no
the
complaints.
freedom to develop that independence
and confidence.
Yeah.
That kid's insanely confident.
He is
He's
confident.
like, Mom, I got it. I'm like, okay, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I did help. And he's like, okay, Mom.
I know. He's thinking it's all him.
Oh, he
You're
does.
like, excuse me.
You do.
I was
But
there
was
too,
here.
Eli.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Just so you know. I did help for you to be you.
100%. Yeah.
So that's our parenting and sort of how we are.
Yeah.
No judgment towards anyone else. It's
No.
just we're
Look,
stubborn.
unless you're ultra neglectful and you're probably not even watching this if you are because you probably don't.
Yeah.
You're probably on drugs.
This isn't your thing to be doing, but yes, it's true.
Yeah.
But, if you ever also feel like people might also, this is what happened to us, is have an opinion about the way we parented because they would say, you shouldn't be doing this or it's too forward or da-da-da. Don't take it in. Don't
it's
listen
not
to
for
anyone
you.
else. Your kids are your kids and the way you parent them is obviously goes with your personality as well.
You know your kid's temperament as well
Yeah.
on top of that. Another layer is that you know their temperament. And
We had a lot of opinions too. We've always had people try and be like, oh, should you be? You know what? They're your children and also parent them how you feel necessary to parent them.
Your way, baby. Your way. There's no. So while we've just let you all know what we're like, we're telling you that you should also do what's right for you and how is best for the temperament of your own children. And
personalities are different.
They're so different.
My middle
Personalities
child's
is
so
huge.
different.
Yeah, and
I
so
have
is
to be
mine.
gentler.
Yeah. So is my youngest too. Just to have to be a little bit more gentle, whereas my oldest is a lot like me and you.
Yeah.
Real thick-skinned and takes things less personally.
Water off a duck's back.
Yeah, totally water off a duck's back. But if I said that to my baby, it would be like, oh my God, tears for days. Oh, yeah. So like we get it. Like, different. Yeah.
Different parenting.
Different
what type
parenting.
of parenting are you?
Let us know.
Any inputs or thoughts, just hit us up on email or Insta or Spotify.
Let us know. All right. Well, good
guys.
chat. See you then. See you next time.